Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for coming to the session. Welcome to the future. Future's here, now. It's a hyper-connected future. It's a hyper-scalable, software-driven future, and it's all about change. It's all about enabling change, about enabling disruption across all businesses through connectivity. It's about changing expectations. You know, for the longest time, connectivity providers have helped IT companies, software companies, put applications in the cloud. We've got Uber, we've got Twilio, we've got Airbnb, and it goes on, the list goes on and on and on. Everything is cloud-driven. And for the first time, what we have done is we've actually put the network in the cloud to change the way forever that connectivity solutions, whether it's pure point-to-point connectivity, connectivity to cloud suppliers, to internet exchanges, how all of that works. Getting ahead of myself here. Why is this? It's because finally we can see the convergence of ICT, the world of applications, the world of telecommunications. It's also coinciding with a time where traditional network structures cannot meet the needs. Networks historically were built for voice. You know, we heard earlier from John, voice was where it all started, and then it became the internet, and then it became IP connectivity. But none of those architectures lend themselves to delivering the integrated solution that we need for cloud-based solutions. The world of software-defined networks changes all of that. And what it does fundamentally is it takes the power away from the traditional suppliers. So in the past, telcos would have a very static way of doing things. Networks, contracts. Now everything has become fluid. The control goes back to the end user, and that end user somewhere out there is an enterprise. That enterprise has been wanting for the longest time to be able to choose when and how they consume services, how they integrate those services, and how they use those services to generate new business models for the activity in which they're in. Software coming back into play in telecoms makes that possible. I was on a panel yesterday and I was saying finally the world of connectivity has gotten to be cool again because the value comes out of that. So who are the people who are going to add the most value and the capability to the end users going forward? It's going to be those actors who can orchestrate the different pieces, who can bring together the connectivity part of the equation, who can bring the compute part, who can bring in all those really smart application developers, the unicorns from Silicon Valley on one side of the planet to China on the other side of the planet. These companies that need to access markets, to become global, now they can do that in a number of clicks. Before, they would never be able to do that. And that's what's fabulous about what's happening. And as we just heard, it's not about centralizing everything. We've got the hyperscalers, we've got the gigantic data centers where all the processing happens, but at the same time, we have this trend to move content out to the edge of networks, to address issues such as latency, to get closer to the end user. And that end user may be connecting at a cable station on a coast where a cable comes across an ocean. Or it may be a local community that needs to have content right at the edge. These are the providers who are going to make the difference, are going to change the world, change your world. Everything you do every day is going to become like the kind of consumer experience you've been used to using iPhones, smartphones of any kind that have invaded our life. And furthermore, what we need to do is to make it easy and to make it, let's say, cost competitive. In reality, what does that translate into? Now, I won't ask you to read all of this, but basically in terms of visibility, that was limited in the past. You had to put up with what you were told with. If you can see what's happening with your connectivity solution through a portal, you have the control, you have the visibility. You know what's going on. You have the power to impact what's going on. In terms of speed of setup, now it's part of the past where you sign an order form, send it through, wait for it to go through a process with people doing stuff. In our portal, which I'll come to in a second, you can do that in 10 seconds. You can turn up a circuit between here and Frankfurt and Hong Kong. You can turn a circuit between London and New York. You key it in, you wait 10 seconds, and your circuit is active. That is not slideware. It is not bluster. It is absolutely the truth today. Capacity. How many times have customers said, oh, I need a huge amount of capacity at a particular time of the year because that's when my business needs it. And then all the other months of the year, my 12-month contract, I don't need it. What do? I pay for it. Not anymore. You can turn it up, you can turn it down as and when you need it. Same way for terms and conditions. You can have a service for a day, for a week, for a month, for a year, as and when you need it. The power goes back to you. In terms of providers, with the extended ecosystem that comes with interconnection through software-defined networks and APIs, you don't have to be stuck with one supplier. By going through a portal that is interconnected, you can connect to all of the suppliers who are part of that ecosystem, whether they're a carrier, a data center, an internet exchange, or an application provider. Ease of use, a portal makes it much, much easier. And in terms of the breadth of service offerings, you have the wealth of everybody who's connected into that ecosystem. So how do we do that at Epsilon, and why am I here on this stage today? Well, I'm going to steal something I said yesterday, so sorry for those of you who were there. You're going to hear it a second time. But in the same way that with the iPod, Steve Jobs put 1,000 songs in your pocket, through Infini by Epsilon, we can put thousands of connections into your pocket today. Our Infini by Epsilon portal, which declines in a PC version, a tablet version, and a smartphone version, and does Android, Apple, whatever, everything that connects to the ecosystem becomes available in your pocket. And as you can see from here, and it's another eyesight test, I'm afraid, but what you have in there is you have the internet exchanges. Right now, we've got about 15 around the world. That's going to grow to 30 in the next 6 months, where the content resides. And actually, that's whether it's at the center or the edge of networks, you can get there through this single pane of glass. The cloud providers, the main cloud providers, so Microsoft, AWS, Google, but also Alibaba, IBM, Oracle, they're all in there, just a click away. The major data centers around the world, over 100 of them connected, anywhere where you need to get to Equinix, to DRT, to Interaction, and a whole plethora of others, that is equally one click away. Enterprise solutions with last mile services, you can get those through the portal as well. And voice services, inbound, SIP trunking, number ranges, people like Twilio, people like Uber, they get numbers from us. They can get them through the portal. So everything you see there, except the small box with last mile on a global basis, you can get right on your phone today. You don't need anything else to connect but a user ID to get into the Infini by Epsilon portal. And that's because we've spent a lot of time as a company working on APIs, because to realize the dream of software-defined networks where one connection can give you access to the fabric of every interconnected partner in that global ecosystem. And today we've got 600 partners connected into this, half of which are carriers, the other half are CSPs, MSPs, IXs, and what have you. Through the API connection, and here you can see on the left, yeah, it's the left, our back office CRM system, eStream. As you can see, we work across through Infini with partners, whether they be hardware suppliers like Juniper, who have pretty much built the majority of our fabric, to carriers, to IXs, to all the folks in that ecosystem. We are interconnected. And it's a growing community. We sit on the forums, the MEF, the NGNA, and we are taking a leadership position because very few actors today are in a position to actually play in the same bucket as us, because we've been focusing on this for 6 years. So we are driving this consumption model. It's click, connect, configure, and consume. And we do that working with partners, and partners are incredibly important for us, and we build this all around the notion that we work with all the actors in the ecosystem. So for us, creating and disrupting the way we consume all of these services, making it like we use our smartphones, making it that easy, demystifying it. It's all complicated in the back, it's all easy in the front, because software is going to be prime in the world of connectivity going forward, but it gives the ultimate flexibility. So if I had the 4 C's of click, connect, configure, and consume, I can give you 4 P's to remember now. That's platforms, portals, partners, but ultimately it's about the people behind it as we drive growth in the industry, because what the world of software gives you is an unbelievably huge capability to create new services. On the transformation side, the disruption changes everything. We're agile, and all of this is in striving constantly to innovate. This is not a static platform. Every day we seek to do something better, to add new capability. Because every day I want to be able to get up here and say, welcome to the future. So if you want to come and see the future, you can come and see our stand here, or get onto www.epsilontel.com. Come take a look, because the future's great, the future's fascinating, and the future's here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carl.